In this video, I'm going to talk about how to negotiate your starting salary for your very first engineering job. For those of you new to the channel, if you're seeing me for the very first time, my name is Nenad. I'm an electrical engineer working in the power industry with around 8 years of experience, and I am currently a manager. I also sift through many resumes, attend many interviews, and also I hire people. What is the hiring manager looking for? Because after all, they're not just gonna hire you because you now have an engineering degree. No, they're looking for somebody who can come onto their team and contribute, that can actually do some detailed design, is willing to learn, and is a positive to the entire team and the company. And ultimately, of course, it's all a business to the bottom line. As you're just starting out, and let's assume in this case you have no experience whatsoever, you're a bit of a risk. You've not worked for any other company. Your very first job is going to get your foot in the door in whatever industry it is that you're looking for. So no, you're not going to get paid X amount of dollars or anything that you're seeing on Google. It'll be based on the value that you bring to the company, the location, and the industry. If you're coming in with very little or no experience, well then really you don't have much leverage. The next thing to think about is actually your own mindset. You have to first understand what your value is. Are you a top level performer? Now, you have to be brutally honest here. Everyone thinks that they're a top level performer. Not everybody can be Michael Jordan. Ask yourself very introspectively, how good am I actually? What other attributes can I bring to the table? It might not always be your technical knowledge. When somebody's hiring you on, they're bringing you on because A, they believe you can succeed. B, they think you might be a very good fit for the team and the company culture. And those are some other intangibles that you need to think about. So think about yourself overall and the package that you are presenting and that you will be selling to your hiring manager. Know what you bring to the table. Maybe it is exceptional study habits. Maybe it is the prior projects that you've done. Maybe it is the excellent teamwork you've displayed. Maybe it is just your overall demeanor when it comes to interacting with people or the client. No matter where you think you are, you have to have some confidence in yourself and in your ability. High confidence level and a high sense of self-worth will go very far in this negotiation. Now that you understand the hiring manager's perspective, you understand your own self-worth and what you bring to the table, now it's important to do lots and lots of research. Do not come into this negotiation unprepared. Know exactly what it is that is offered for your type of role in the industry that you're hiring in for and the location. To give you an example, I work in the power industry, but even more specifically, I work in the substation industry. Simply Google, very specifically, the role that you're applying for. Entry-level substation engineer in Orlando, Florida. The location does matter because if you were to compare, let's say, Orlando to San Francisco, you will notice that the numbers are quite different. So understand exactly what range you should be in. Have a realistic range. So if it says that an entry-level substation engineer, for instance, makes $145,000 somewhere, that's probably a little bit unrealistic. In fact, very unrealistic. The most important part to understand for your mentality before you even go into the negotiation is that you want to be cooperative. You want to be friendly and not adversarial. What you're really trying to do is you're trying to join this company. So in a way, this negotiation should be you and the hiring manager coming to terms so that it's both fair for you and for him. You want to be cooperative. Always have that in mind. And as always, stay very cool and calm. Do not burn any bridges here. Do not get upset if the offer is too low. Then that's fine. You can always walk away. Okay, if the offer's too low, well then, you know what? You can keep applying and look for another offer. You have to take everything, absorb it all, and then speak. So be cool, calm, and collected. Let's talk about the process and actually what might happen in your interview and salary negotiation. So if you've made it to the in-person interview, congratulations. That's exactly where you want to be. You're right there on the finish line. You're a very strong candidate. At this point, you might be the only candidate, or maybe there are a handful of others, maybe 2 or 3, but that's really about it. So you are right there at the finish line. I can't seem to do a YouTube video without recommending a book. It is called Never Split the Difference by Christopher Voss. This guy is a former international hostage negotiator for the FBI, and he's got incredible tips. Some of them I'm gonna share with you right now. What you don't wanna do is offer up any numbers to give them an idea. If the hiring manager asks you, tell me, what is your expected salary? Don't just blurt out the highest number that you wanna get. In the business world, there is quite a powerful saying. It's he who speaks first loses. That doesn't mean not to talk at all. What is your expected salary for this position? $97,000. Don't say that. If you give them an exact number early on to what you're looking for, you're losing a lot of leverage, especially if you give them a low number. So let's say that the manager's range for this particular role is, as we said, what, 60 to 75,000. And you simply say 60, even worse, 57, they're gonna write that down and be very happy with that. I guarantee you'll have an offer, if you're a good candidate, the very next day for 57,000, even though you're gonna be below the range. Do not speak first. If you're too high, on the other hand, that could be out of reach and the manager could potentially lose interest, or that anchor could be unrealistic to the role, meaning that now you have not done your homework and your research. So either way, do not give out a salary expectation. What do you say instead? Tell me, what is your expected salary for this position? Well, I just want to say thank you, first of all, for having this interview with me and for considering me for this role. It really means a lot. I know you've taken some time out of your schedule. Judging from what I have heard here, I would love to work for this company, and I know that I want to be in this industry and I want to be in this job. Having said all that, given my success at school and the senior design projects that I've worked on and all the classes that I've taken and my background, in my desire to be in the power engineering space, I know that I would be able to really contribute not only to this company, but to you and this team. And I understand that you probably have a range for entry-level candidates, and I feel that I deserve to be at the higher end of that range based on what I can provide to you and the company. You always want to start it with a thank you. Friendly and calm and confident. If you want to give them a number, give them a very realistic range that you found. I understand the range for entry-level hires in the power industry in this part of the state of Florida is between 57,000 and 73,000. Okay, use some very specific numbers. It means you've actually done your research and you're not just saying between 50 and 60. So when I said, 57,000 and 73,000, those are kind of odd numbers. Now you don't need to say like 57,325 and 48 cents. You want to sell them the benefit that you bring to this company, okay? What is the benefit to the company and this hiring manager of having you on the team? As we mentioned earlier, you're not proven, so they don't know what type of work you can do. If you've made it this far, it means you've at the very least gone through a 4-year engineering program, and you can talk about some of your successes there. You would say, after speaking about the range, something along the lines of, I understand my abilities and my track record of what I was able to accomplish in college with the way that I approached my studying and my coursework and my high GPA and all the senior design projects and labs I worked on. I have a great work ethic. I want to be in this industry, and this is the job for me. And I feel that I deserve to be at the higher end of that range. And quiet. You don't say, at the higher end of that range at 73,000. No, just I want to be at the higher end of that range. Okay, let it simmer for a bit. At this point, you'll start to understand how this hiring manager and how this company operates, because sometimes the hiring manager might be able to actually right then and there make some decisions to start potentially moving up your salary in his mind. Or he might have to actually go through HR and that entire process. So you always want them to throw out a number first. So if the manager then does not give you a number right then and there during your negotiation, at the tail end of your interview, then most likely he has to go through the HR route in order for them to give you a written offer. That's fine too. When you receive a written offer, this is what the company is deciding to pay you, and you'll understand, first of all, what their ranges are and so on and so forth. If you have the ability to then call the hiring manager, you would actually perform this entire negotiation over the phone. Sometimes that might not be possible though. Sometimes you might just only be dealing with the HR team. Well, in that case, you'll have to convey all that via email. Now that is outside of the scope of this video. Let's say that the first offer was 65, but you'd really like to be at 77. You don't need to counter and say, okay, well, my range was to 77, so let's do 72. You're not gonna play that game. You want him or her to move up and begin negotiating against themselves, because now at this point they wanna keep you. You already have their starting number. The goal here is not to beat the last dollar out of them, okay? It is to come to a fair price point that you are willing to provide services and that they are willing to pay you. Because yes, while potentially the manager's range could be, let's say 70, and let's say that you want to be at 77, so you're still a few thousand apart, he might have to jump through a ton of hoops talking to his manager and the VP and the such and such to get you to 72, 73. that it might not be worth it. If the deal falls through for a couple $1,000s, that's a bit of a shame. After a number has been thrown out, now would be the time to talk about the other compensation benefits. Things that do not require immediate money. So by that, of course, I mean retirement packages, PTO, paid time off, vacation time, health benefits, stock options, bonuses, whether it's a signing bonus or end of the year bonus, and even reviews. So one thing you could bring up, and you would say it in a nice way, would this be an appropriate time to talk about other forms of compensation? And the manager will certainly understand. So the more you talk about those things, it tells them that A, that you're serious, and B, they might be able to sweeten the deal. So fine, let's say you're not gonna get to, let's say 77,000, but maybe they can get you at the higher end of their range, which is let's say 68, 69, but maybe you'll secure a $10,000 sign-on bonus. Or you could get them to agree on having a review cycle, a performance review 6 months out rather than the year for the very first year, so that you might be able to then get bumped up right then and there based on your performance. You're so confident that you'll be able to show them how valuable you are to the company. So really, you might be able to, let's say you started at 68 during this performance review, maybe they'll get you up to 75 after 6 months. Pretty fair. And that's really the key there. You want it to be a two-way street. You're not gonna get everything you ask for. As you progress in your career, you'll have a lot more to offer and you become much more valuable. Negotiating and trying to get the managers to move up, it's a bit of an art. It might even be more of an art than a science. You have to sort of feel where they're at, understanding what you offer and what they can provide to you. There is a bit of a dance to this. The goal is to find a fair number that works for you, the hiring manager, the role you're hiring for, and the industry that you're in. And by taking some of the tips that I've shared here, hopefully you can be at the higher end of that range. Please let me know if this video brought you any value. I'd love to know if you took any of these tips and if they helped you out in your negotiation process. If you want to see the other videos in this series, check them out over here. They'll help you get to this part where you're talking to the manager about money. See you on the next one.